Kenny here with Gardening Simplified. It's May 14th, and we're going to talk about making your own sauerkraut. When it comes to making sauerkraut, first thing you're going to have is some cabbage. Now, you probably heard me talk about this filter kraut. Now, these are smaller heads because this will grow better than double this size if you let it, but it's getting warmer, and so cabbage is not doing as well. The ones that were started earlier in the season, the bigger heads we'd already harvested, but we said we've got to make some sauerkraut. Now, the next thing you're going to need is, now I have a crock here, and this is what I'm going to make it in. It'll make a bigger batch, but you can make this in small batches. It doesn't have to be really large. You could use a pint jar, a quart jar, a half-gallon jar, whatever you feel like you need. And it's good, too, to have you one of these little kraut packers so that you can pack it in there tight, but you don't have to have it either. You can always get by with just about anything that you can push down on it good to get it where it's tight in this jar while it's fermenting. So we're going to go through the process, and first thing we're going to have to do is cut up our cabbage. Okay, when you're cutting up your cabbage, now depends on how it is. Now these are really long, so we cut off the top. Then you want to end up cutting out the core. Now the core is this solid part that grows on, the stem grows on. And it's easiest if you quarter the bottom, and then you can just diagonally take these cores out and cast them aside. Now, this particular cabbage does have thicker places in it, but it'll be just fine. After that, what we're going to do, now what you're going to do is cut it up. You just want to cut it in strips. You can make them however big you want. Kind of like them about 1/4 inch or somewhere about a little smaller. And we're going to keep doing that until we get enough that we think we might have enough for our crock to hold. Okay, now that we've got it cut it up, and we've got a bunch in our other bowl over here, but we've actually weighed it out. And what you want to do is weigh your cabbage and make sure you know what your weight of your bowl is, so you're not weighing your bowl too. And then you're going to get enough salt. Basic recipe. Now you can do less or more. I don't say use less, because the chances if you use them less, your brine's not going to be strong enough, and you could have problems. But if that's what you prefer, if you use this much and it's too salty for you, all you have to do is when you take it out of the jar, rinse it through a sieve to rinse off that salt so it won't be near as salty. But anyway, what you're going to do is you're going to sprinkle this salt on your cabbage. You'll sprinkle some on there, and then you're going to massage this cabbage. What you want to do is get this salt mixed in good. You're going to squeeze it, and this salt's going to draw the moisture out of the cabbage, and it's going to make your brine or your juice that you're going to be fermenting in. And that way your lactic bacteria can do its job. It's going to ferment this. It's going to make it a good probiotic. This kraut is really a nice probiotic. But what you're going to do is you're going to put that in there. I'm going to add some more. And then I'm going to put some more salt on here. And I'm just going to repeat this process. But you're just going to continue to do this, and you can see how this cabbage that's down here is starting to look a little bit darker, because that's that salt working on it. And you're just going to keep doing it around, and you can push it down But you have to mix it good so you get the salt everywhere. Once it starts making a brine, it's a lot easier because that juice will move that salt around. But until you make that brine, and right now it's starting to get a little bit softer from massaging it, and like I say, because the salt that's in there. But I'm going to continue to work this, and then after it's worked a little bit, I'll show you what it looks like. Okay, you can see this bowl is really full. How it's coming down. This is really soft. What you're doing is, now I say it's kind of like kneading bread. You pull it up, but see all this juice that's in here now? Because that brine is drawing that juice out. Now, whenever I say the amount of salt, I want you to consider not using regular table salt. Definitely don't use iodized salt. A lot of the recipes will say kosher salt. I always say use sea salt and use a good grade. Now, I'm using Redmond's. You could use Himalayan sea salt. I have heard some information that they tested it. A lot of it's coming out of China, and it's having higher levels of mercury because they get off of the vein sometimes. But you see how small amount of stuff we got now. You don't have to continually keep doing this. You could do it for a little bit, let it set for a while, come back and do it again. But just think about it. You could throw away that gym membership, and you could definitely do an upper body workout, and it doesn't cost you anything, and you're getting probiotics in return. But anyway, I'm going to keep doing this until I get enough juice that I know I'm going to have plenty to cover it. Now, I didn't mention whenever you start cutting up your cabbage, it's good to keep at least one or two full leaves so that you can put over the top of this once you pack it into whatever container you're using. But I'm going to continue to do this, and then we'll come back again. Okay, this is where I like it. If you look, when I push on the front, you can see all the water that's on there. That's a good place to be. It's nice and soft. Now I'll see if I can make a mess here in the kitchen. That's normally what I do. I'm famous for that. But what we're going to do is we're going to put some in here, and then we're going to take our packer, and we're just going to pack this down tight. What we're trying to do is get the voids out. Might squeeze more juice out of the cabbage. And you'll be able to see there's a lot of cabbage that'll fit in a crock. And you're not going to hurt it. Now, when you're trying to get the moisture out, now I associated it to kneading bread, but you could also just massage it by squeezing it in your hand. The question will be, did we cut up enough cabbage to fill the crock? Because it does take a lot of cabbage when you're making sauerkraut. I keep wanting to say coleslaw, but definitely sauerkraut. Now, the process with this, and a lot of people, they'll give different times as far as how long this will last. The reason they do this is because it lasts a long time. Now, I keep mine refrigerated. It's probably been somewhere between 4 and 6 months, the last batch. And I still have some left, but because of the process of preserving this, you have a situation to where the bad bacteria can't live. That's why this makes a good probiotic, because you have the good bacteria that's doing the fermenting process, and you have the bad bacteria gone. So unless you have the bad bacteria, the chance is it's not going to spoil. Now, if you drop your salt level in your brine, you could end up having some kind of issue like that. Okay, as you can see, our crop changed. Come to find out, there was a crack on around the bottom part way, and it just was leaking all my juice out, which normally you have a lot of extra juice, so that's not a problem. But with the clear jar, you can see better. You can see how the stuff is packed in here. You can see there's no air gaps. Now there is up here because it isn't packed in all the way. Once we get more in there, but you see how that liquid is right up there close to the top, which that's an important thing as far as when you're doing this. You have to have plenty of liquid, and if you do it right and you wait to put it in here once it's processed out, well, then it's nice and easy as far as getting it filled up. Okay, with the change of plans, but what we're going to do is we're just going to take this leaf. Now, it doesn't have to be this big, but we're going to leave it that big. We got it already. And we're going to kind of shape this a little bit like the top. And what we're going to do is just kind of slide this in here over the top of everything. And we're just going to stick it in there like that. That'll hold all your small pieces down. Now, when you're fermenting with a jar, I'm going to tell you a little secret. If you have older quart jars or older half gallon, I mean pretty old ones, they were thicker jars. They weren't thin like all the newer ones you get, whether they was Ball or whatever. The older ones had a thicker lip. They had a real strong band on them. You could normally tell. These weights, when they go in there, they are hard to get out. You end up having to just about turn the jar over because you can't get anything between the lip of it because the jar so thick. So that's your secret. But anyway, what we're going to do is we're going to put this on here. We want to make sure that our liquid is good and high up to the top so it covers everything. And then we're going to use some type of fermenting cap. Now, you can buy these silicone ones here that's got the little fermentation nipple. It's just got a slot there so air can go out and adjust pressure as your day warms up or cools down. And you're just going to put this on. Now, I've learned that when I ferment something, I like some kind of tray underneath it. Every once in a while, if the bubbles get to coming out real fast or something, it will come over. Now, if you're going to ferment with just your regular cap, you're going to have to just put your ring on, but don't snug it down. Leave it loose so it can evacuate the pressure. But you can do that. I just think it's so handy. I don't have to worry about making a mistake. I did fermented pickles one year, and my ring was a little too tight when I put it back up, and it bent that wide mouth jar lid, just had it all kind of crinkled up like it's fixing to explode. The jar held up, but needless to say, we had to throw the lid away. But anyway, here's the process now. Now we're just going to let this set. in a cool, dry place. Normally, I just leave mine out of the light. You know, you can put it off in a cabinet. I just put it on the floor in my storeroom. And temperature will affect how quick this is going to turn into sauerkraut. Normally, a couple of weeks with the normal temperature, say, in my shop out there where it's climate controlled, normally it stays somewhere between 78 and 82, somewhere in there. But it'll take, I say, about 2 weeks. You can check it. And if you like your sauerkraut crispier, well, you might want to keep it taken refrigerated at that time. Now, if you don't refrigerate this and you store it for a longer period of time unrefrigerated, it's going to keep working, and the sauerkraut's going to get softer and softer and softer, and eventually it'll probably eat it up. But as far as normally, it's going to be anywhere from 2 to say 4 weeks, depending on your temperature. Cooler temperature is going to take longer, and depend on what texture you want your sauerkraut. I can't tell you how you like your sauerkraut, but I like mine usually about 2 weeks. I'll come back and check this. If it's where I want it, what I'm going to do is I'll put it in my cooler, my refrigerator. I've got enough room in my commercial one that I use for the farmer's market. So I'll just store it there until I'm ready to use it. And it should keep indefinitely at that point. It should be cool enough that the bacteria is not going to continue to sour it up more and do it that way. But anyway, that's all it is to making sauerkraut. It's no big deal. Anybody can do it. You don't have to have no special tool to push it down or something. A lot of people, they go down to like the lumber yard and they get one of those big dowels that they use or used to use, still doing some, for your clothes rod in your closet, and just cut a piece off how long they want. Maybe you got a friend, you might want to cut it into a few pieces and give them away for gifts. But anyway, there you go. That's it. If you have any questions, of course, put them down in the comments. If you have any special ways that you do sauerkraut that's different, let the people that follow this channel know so they can maybe pick up some tips. One thing I need to slip in here is that whenever you are making sauerkraut, make sure that everything, that's the reason why we use a full leaf, is it comes over and it holds down all the small pieces. If anything decides to float and it's above the brine, that's where you'll get some spoilage. Now, if you do, say this is fermented and you have a little something on top, mold or something like that, just scoop it out, those pieces that were exposed. But the best way to prevent that is to go ahead and whenever you make this, make sure everything is under. Now, this jar isn't all the way full, and when you have one that's not all the way full, make sure that all your stuff is underneath your brine. That should help. If you want to see more videos like this, of course, hit that subscribe, hit that bell, select all, give it a big thumbs up, and share this video. Enjoy that gardening experience.